welcome back to the Wentworth CM Club podcast for WIC Week. This is our second episode we're recording, and it's your host Chase here, and we have Adam and Zach, our co-hosts, and today we have a very special guest, Daidlithza, and she is a senior in the construction management program at Wentworth Institute of Technology. Daidlithza, thank you so much for coming on the show. I would love if you told us, how you found Wentworth and found yourself in construction management and the construction industry.
Hi, Chase. Thank you very much for having me here. I appreciate the opportunity. The reason that I chose Wentworth Institute of Technology was because it is a very known university for construction management and for the whole construction industry. Many of the students at Wentworth, they can find their way in the construction straight just right after graduation. So I found a great opportunity to go to Wentworth.
And how did it all work? I'm always curious with these, with international students that I know. Did you ever tour Wentworth before accepting the offer, or did you just accept it and then come here and your first day on campus was the first time you ever saw it?
So I was here before. So I came here in 2017 and I started in the spring of 2020.
Oh, okay.
But before I went a couple times. I didn't do like the official tour, but I was familiar with the school and all that.
So you said you're in the continuing education program, is that right?
Yes.
So what exactly, how does that kind of differ from so Chase, Adam, and I are all in the regular 4-year bachelor's program. How does that continuing ed program sort of differ from that, and as far as classes and time frame for graduating?
So there are different classes, and I think there are 6 years to graduate. But I transfer classes from Venezuela and Massasoit too. And then also you're supposed to take only 2 classes per semester because you are working in the morning and then going to the classes at night. And I'm taking 4 or 5 classes. So it's a lot.
Oh, really? Do you still work, or do you just go to class we
Yeah.
do?
No, yeah, I still work.
Oh, wow.
So I work 7 to 3 or 2, 4. So generally it's 9 hours, 8 hours day. And then I go to classes at 5:30.
Wow. So, it makes for a long day for sure.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, does that ever get tiring? Does that ever burn you out or anything?
Yeah, I get really tired and cranky. But it's nice because in the morning I can work. The homeworks is the only problem because I try to find a way, to do my homework and then going to the class and then going to work. So it's so much stuff to deal with. But beside that, I don't struggle too much.
No, that's awesome. I work 2 days a week and I can barely do it. I can't imagine working full time and then going to school full time.
Yeah, it's too much. But definitely, if you guys, if need to, you will find a way to do it. Yeah, you'll be surprised.
Definitely. I'm studying remotely right now in Southern California. So my days start, essentially 3 hours earlier because of the time difference. So I had some 5 a.m. classes. And then in a way, I'm kind of at a disadvantage because if stuff is due at midnight and the deadline is 11:59, it's really 9 p.m. here. So that's been a little bit to juggle, but I don't mind the early, but I can totally relate just getting cranky at the end of the day. I want to sleep.
And those little things,
I'm longing for the morning, sip of coffee.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Wentworth has that, and it helps enable students to get a good work life, personal life balance. So yeah, that's really awesome to hear. And for those listening and considering the construction management route and still want to work full time, that they can do that.
How did you go about kind of finding your co-op and what you wanted to do? I'm not sure if you wanted to mention too, where you did it and kind of some of the experiences that you got out of that, and kind of how it's helping you decide where you want to eventually end up after graduation as far as what kind of position or what kind of industry you're looking to get into?
Yeah, so the very first one I got was on the building inspector's department of Grantham, but that was like 4 months. I found it by myself. The second one was through Professor D'Agostino. He's the one that helped me out for this second chance or co-op. I was there from May to September, so 5 months. And then this one, I was looking for another co-op or job opportunity, and they gave me this one. So I have been there since September, so pretty much 6 months, almost 6 months.
So are you here like was it hard to find somewhere that would employ you as an international student? Or I'm not sure like as far as the application process and like being able to work in the
No,
United
yeah,
States.
that absolutely makes sense. So I'm not a regular. I don't have the visa as a student. I have the visa as a refugee because I'm from Venezuela. So basically, I can ask for political asylum since my country is kind of like falling apart. So I asked for that. So they give you your social security, your working visa, and from that, pretty much, I can do pretty much anything, like have my bank account, I can work, I have my license, I can go to school and be in a state, because since I'm living here in Mass, I don't have to pay out a state tuition, or even from another country will have to. So it's a big difference and things like that.
That's awesome. That's good to hear because I know sometimes those things can get a little complicated for sure, especially now during COVID when, it's hard to find, you can't just go somewhere and physically talk to someone. It has to be online and websites and phone calls and emails. I cannot see how it could get a little complicated. So, no, it's definitely good to hear.
Yeah, and kind of like with the private schools versus the public for colleges, the privates have, a fixed tuition. I mean, obviously it varies among like financial aid and needs and everything. But since I'm out of state, there's like no out of state tuition involved, if that makes sense, because the public, if you're in that state, you're essentially paying less than those who are out of state, if that makes sense. So yeah,
So
like that's like kind of like a pro about Wentworth with the private, like just all that complicated stuff just kind of out of
nice.
the way.
Okay, I thought that the out of state and in state tuition things were like for every school. So it's only
Just
for public.
public.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I
Yeah,
think
it's interesting.
I think generally speaking, it's only public. I mean, there might be some private schools where it makes a difference. I'm not sure, but I've seen two. I commute every day, and I come in on the Zakin Bridge, and the University of Maine has a billboard that's right there, like when you're leaving Boston. And I think because of COVID, what they did is now you can, if you don't live in Maine, you can go there for the in-state tuition price. So they basically like chop the price for everyone trying to get students to come there because them like pretty much every other college in the country is having a hard time getting students to come. And they're also hoping out of state people come and pay room and board because I know that they lose a lot of money. The other thing I was gonna say is like I guess I don't know, maybe it's a little off topic, but sometimes with people that talk about having tuition reimbursement or free government loans or government loan forgiveness, it really seems to be that whole like debate and the whole thing with that is they seem to really be trying to focus it on public schools, which I think is great because there's a lot of good state public schools, especially in like the Midwest and some of the bigger schools. But that with that argument too, I mean, especially in Massachusetts, there's so many really
Mm.
high quality private institutions that would just be completely overlooked with that whole tuition forgiveness. And you look at places like Harvard University or MIT, some of the best schools that everyone in the world knows about, that would be, at least from what I understand, and these laws haven't been passed, but pretty much completely ignored by any kind of tuition forgiveness.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And every
Definitely.
school, no matter where you go, is expensive. So
Yeah. Yeah, when I first came here, so we didn't have obviously the money because we pretty much ran out of the country. And I started to work first in a Mexican restaurant, being the best girl. Then me trying to learn English. Finally, when I did, I started to work as a waitress. My English was still, and right now it's still like, but like back then it was even worse. And when finally I started to work as a waitress, that's when I started to save the money. And you would be like surprised, but like working as a waitress, that's how I was able to save like a big part of the money for going to school here. Oh, and also obviously, studying in Massasoit and then transferring.
Mm-hmm.
could you, talking about English for a second there, I think that's sort of an interesting topic too. So sometimes in the United States, you find that, or at least I find that people get kind of like annoyed when, as someone who is English speaking, you have to, I don't want to say deal with, but you have to
I got it.
interact with, someone, whether it's at a restaurant, like you mentioned, or, on the phone. A lot of these call centers have people that don't speak English very well. Some of them do, some of them don't. Some of them are actually they're based in other countries. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm just curious, like, what you might have to say as far as like being a minority woman in construction, but also having that sort of stigma of not speaking fluent English, although I'd say it's pretty excellent. Um,
Thank you.
but I'm just curious what you'd have to say about that and people that get annoyed with having to quote unquote deal with people that don't speak English.
So I would understand it, but United States, I feel like, is a country that has so many immigrants. Even from the very beginning of the country, it's pretty much based on immigrants, like Scottish, Irish, etc. And it has been difficult sometimes, for every aspect of my life, trying to make myself, that people can understand me. But beside that, I mean, I understand can be difficult for them, so I don't get angry or I don't lose my patience at all. If somebody needs me to repeat anything, I will definitely will do it. Or if I don't know how to pronounce a word, I will be like, hey, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce this. Or generally, I know how to write them, but not how to pronounce them. Sometimes I will be like, hey, this word. So, it's a situation where you just need patience from both sides, for the person who speaks English and for myself too, because you cannot be like, oh, you don't understand me, like what's wrong with you? Not at all. It's just, be patient and repeat it, because it could be anybody. If you, for example, move to another country, to Venezuela, for example, you're not going to be able to speak, fluent Spanish. But people, I hope they will be patient to you. You know what I mean? That type of things.
Yeah, a couple years ago, actually more than a couple years ago, but I've been to Rome, Italy, and it's really nice there. But being in like a foreign country when you don't speak the language and all the signs are in a different language and
Yeah.
all the anything you see is in a different language. Some of the touristy areas is pretty good. There's a lot of English and people speak English, but when you get out of the tourist areas, it's kind of like, you know, ooh, because you're somewhere where you can't talk to anyone. You can't, you don't know how to read any of the signs. But it was a fun experience, and
Yeah,
I've been on
definitely.
both sides, right? Where I'm the English speaking one with someone that's not, and then also as the English speaking one with someone that, I'm in their country and they don't know. So it's interesting. And I was just curious, how
Yeah.
your kind of take on that was.
Yeah, no, definitely take it. I hope so. Or people consider I take it on the right way. Because anybody could be on that position. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely, important no matter like what any situation or just anything with life, like kindness and patience is key, and that's how everyone should approach, every situation, every aspect of life, interacting with others, it's just like really important to have that.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's more like treat people how you want to be treated. That's what I
Exactly,
feel.
yeah.
very important.
I know you said that you've had co-ops in the past and you're actually working now full time. But once you graduate from Wentworth, what's that looking like? What are you hoping to do?
So I'm planning to graduate this spring 2021. After graduation, I already applied for the master's degree in civil engineering. It will be specialized in construction engineering. So I'll keep studying as well as working, and my path to follow, as you probably noticed, it would be civil engineering. I have a passion for heavy construction, for environmental. Yes, I like commercial and residential construction, but I tend to go more towards the heavy civil.
Yeah, so it's just, final push last semester before you graduate and then, pushing towards civil engineering. And I think that's a great field to go into because, like, if anyone doesn't know already, like, our infrastructure and sustainability is, at stake. And that's just a great, field to get involved in. And heavy construction is awesome. Like, I love it too. That's probably my favorite class I've taken, one of them.
It's a very interesting part of the industry, and since I started doing my internships, both of them has been focused on civil engineering and environmental. So it's kind of like, yes, this is what I want to do, and I'm trying to move forward that, yeah, hoping for the best.
Yeah, and be super well rounded in, construction management, civil engineering, environmental. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty broad. Yeah, actually, my passion started in Venezuela. So I was studying industrial engineering in Venezuela. Um, so for you to graduate, you need 5 years. I completed 2 years, and then I had to come to US. I was studying the third year, and I took this class, Strength of the Materials, and I just realized I love this class, and I love, how the fluxions and beams and how much load you can put on a column before it just collapses and all that. So I was like, this is what I want to do. So when I came here to US, I said this is the perfect opportunity to start, or a new start in my career. So when I started at Massasoit Community College, I went towards the civil engineering transfer.
Yeah, the whole statics concept is very interesting. There's like these charts and the beams and all that. And, like it's a big challenge, like calculating the force until something breaks and all like the vectors. Yeah, I took that last semester with Professor Snow and it was definitely, like a fun, interesting challenge. Definitely different remote, but
Yes, it is a challenge, or challenging classes, but that I feel like that's what makes them interesting most of the time.
Do you have any advice for any of our listeners that you think that helped you, or maybe you think they need to hear?
Yes, I do. The first advice I can do is there are no obstacles, only the ones that you put yourself. Coming from a foreign country and that they speak another language, and trying to learn as fast as possible to keep track of my life, definitely was a challenge, and there were so many days that was not easy, but there is important to always keep in mind where you want to be and not to focus so much on the things that are not going right on your present. And the other advice I want to do or give is for the students. I feel like they have a great opportunity to be in at Wentworth, or any other student to be in their career, because there are many people that they don't have access to school or to education. And since you have that opportunity, try to enjoy it as much as you can and take advantage of it, because that's where it's gonna give you that tool to find what you want to be for life and how you're gonna make your way through life. So those are pretty much the most important ones. And since we're on the Women's in Construction Week, definitely to women, I would encourage them to keep track of where they are. Don't feel discouraged for any situation. You are capable as any other person. And yeah, so keeping, rocking.
As a woman, I was kind of nervous doing the program as at first because I didn't have a construction background, and I was moving cross country, and you came like from a far way as well. That like women are more than welcome in the program. It's been very welcoming. It's been a really welcoming experience, and it's like important to have more diversity and more women and underrepresented groups in the industry to contribute their perspectives and diversify the company and diversify ideas. So that's all really important.
Yes, most of the people that I have talked to from Wentworth and also in the companies I have worked for, they are very welcoming and they're very nice to me. So I'm lucky, but also very grateful.
Yeah, it's a really supportive group. It's like a family. Personally haven't had any discouragement at the program, and I think that's like really fascinating and like good.
It's changing a lot. So, I just thinking on how it used to be before for, I don't know, grandparents or,
Right.
really back on the day. And if we think for us it's a challenge, I can only think about how it used to be for them. So,
Correct.
I'm glad that we are part of, these changing times. And
Yeah, and there's definitely still few things that need work in progress, but we're definitely at least going more forward than backwards.
yes, that's right. Thank you so much and take care, guys. I appreciate it. And I hope, meet you in person or see you around in
Yeah,
the
of course.
sure.
Yeah,
Hopefully
for
times
sure.
get more normal soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No
Yeah, of
problem.
course. Thank you for coming on the
Yeah,
show.
thanks for coming on.
For
Appreciate it.
sure.
Thanks for taking the time to check out our podcast. The Wentworth Construction Management Club is part of Wentworth Institute of Technology, a university in Boston, Massachusetts. We are always looking for new guests. If you are interested in coming on the show, please email us at cmclub@wit.edu. If you are interested in purchasing a 30 or 60-second ad to be broadcast during our show, please email cmclub@wit.edu with your name, contact information, and a description of what you would like to promote. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Just search for WIT CM Club. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the CM Club podcast.